Durbin, the topic of the conversation where it became a shathole conversation was about DACA. It was about the Dreamers, and time is running out. Here's what Dick Durbin had to say. Unfortunately, I think he thinks the window is closing. Cut 88.
Time is running out. We have to get this done. My thought that we might get a bipartisan agreement approved by the White House died yesterday.
Died yesterday.
So aside from the total ass that is our president, I'm not surprised, and I don't think a lot of people were surprised to hear him talk like this and to hear this reported. But there's people in the room. There's people that agree, people that are Republicans, people that are Democrats that are coming out and saying, yeah, he said it. Are they all fake news liars now?
Trump, it's also being reported, loves this controversy. This is exactly what he wants. At least we're not talking about collusion today. At least not yet. If you would, we're at the Speaker Paul Ryan luncheon, courtesy of WisPolitics. Here's a little sound from then. Jeff Mayer, our friend, the moderator of the event, well, he asked Speaker Paul Ryan, what about this comment? Well, the Speaker, very busy yesterday, working on FISA and 702, but he did have some comment after he read it after the fact. Here's what the Speaker said, cut 1.
Yeah, I read those comments later last night. So first thing that came to my mind was
very unfortunate.
Is that what the conclusion was? I didn't quite hear the conclusion.
It must not have worked properly.
If we could, let's play cut 2. Let's see if this one works. Speaker Paul Ryan, again, talking about the shathole comments from Trump.
But you know what I thought of right away? I thought about my own family. My family, like a whole lot of people, came from Ireland on what they called coffin ships then, came here and worked the railroads. The Irish were really looked down upon back in those days. I hear all these stories from my relatives about Irish need not apply. We could basically get construction jobs, cops, or firefighter jobs. And James and Catherine Ryan came over, literally worked the railroad until they had enough money to buy a farm, which happened to be outside of Janesville, Wisconsin. Then their son, my great-grandfather, started a railroad embankment business with horse plows, and it's the earth moving business.
Oh, good for you!
Apparently he's, Black Irish?
You know what I don't think the president understands is that no matter where people come from in their education level or the circumstances of their current political surroundings in that country, what I think the beautiful thing about this country is it allows people to reach their potential through, a government that's responsive to the people and allows the freedom of the individual to go out and make themselves the best they can be, regardless of where they came from or what their circumstances were at the time. That's the magic formula. It doesn't matter if it's Ireland or Haiti or Africa. I mean, we're all human beings. Donald Trump doesn't have any better of a beat on this existence, and I would argue certainly much less so than perhaps some of those people from the quote-unquote shathole countries.
You know what the greatest news about this WisPolitics luncheon?
What's that?
Paul Ryan, he was just one of us. He wore no tie. Yeah. It was a tie-less event.
I wore pants.
Well, I was thinking, I hope we made you feel comfortable. We didn't wear ties either, Speaker Ryan. You got a Resistance Radio t-shirt on. I was wearing the super sexy Resistance Radio polo and also a red hat. The man says to me, red hat. Tom Kircher, PolitiFact, says to you, best hair in radio. I would say mostly true. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates live on Brady Street. It's our little political shathole.
Have you heard the latest one about the Jew, the Catholic, and the colored boy who went to heaven?
Yeah, that's a doozy, Judge.
Colored boy. Why, you son of a bitch, I'll fix you.
So I got that going for me, which is nice.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crute special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean. Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Hey, what are you doing on Sunday afternoon? I'm Stu Daniels, inviting you to join me for Stu Man PM, Politics and Music, Sundays from 4 to 6 p.m. It's your Sunday afternoon update on politics and music, two of my favorite topics. This Sunday, my guest will be Ernell Lucas, candidate for Milwaukee County Sheriff. We'll talk politics, we'll talk music. Stu Man PM, right after Battleground, Wisconsin, Sundays, 4 to 6 p.m., right here on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel,
I don't have a lot of expertise,
decided to run for Wisconsin Attorney General,
I don't even know my own website address.
Even some conservatives questioned his ability.
You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimmel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that.
Schimmel claims to be all about law and order.
You start with the default position that yes, you will enforce the laws.
Apparently, even if that means enforcing a 1960s-style ban on interracial marriage.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
Wisconsin deserves a competent attorney general.
We got to go.
Yes, Brad Schimmel, you do got to go. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
My wife and I were traveling through the Rocky Mountains on our Harley, and we stopped to fuel up, and we were making our way out of town when, bam, a Jeep Cherokee turned right into us. We went flying. Our Colorado Rocky Mountain vacation was over.
They made it back to Wisconsin, and their injuries healed, but they had expenses that they acquired because of the accident. The experienced attorneys at Lawton & Cates negotiated with the insurance adjuster and recovered a fair financial settlement. If your life is disrupted by an injury or other legal dispute, Lawton & Cates can help you achieve a successful result. Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton & Cates, 282-6200. 282-6200.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton & Cates.
He didn't wear a tie, and so I got to take my tie off, which
because I didn't think you care.
Yeah, I know.
Good,
so
good.
Let's hear it for the Tieless Friday.
Absolutely.
You want to tie me up with some of your ties? Tie?
Gimme head with hair, long beautiful hair.
Women want them, men want to be them. Tom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. We stream this fine product live. You can see how sexy we are. Just check it out on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio and always on the phones. It's Friday. We air grievances. You're welcome to join us, 844-967-2789.
You know, I can't believe that Tom Kircher from PolitiFact would come over and say to you, best hair in radio. And then,
true statement.
During the course of the event, and I was actually taking some notes, but Jeff Mayers, the host, the MC of the event, was walking out into the crowd taking audience questions. Now, the press in the back, you know, we always get in the back of the class,
yeah,
Tom.
That's how we do it.
We don't get to ask questions at that point. That's not how they play it. But Jeff Mayers walks up to me in the midst of Paul Ryan giving an answer and says, hey, man, nice hat. And I told Kircher, while you might have the best hair in radio, I might have the worst.
But you always...
And that's why I wear the red Bucky hat.
But you wear it so well, Crudy.
Well, it's my trademark.
It
I wear a red hat.
It looks strange when you don't have a hat on.
And then the politicians, they always see me coming. I don't have to announce my presence in the room. The hat does it for me.
Let's look for the big dude with the red hat.
You should get some sort of something other than the
Fabio
locks.
Some Kiss stack boots. Put me up like 6 inches.
Some platforms. Dom,
You're only hurting yourself, buddy.
I don't know if we have time to really jump into all of the topics. We've got a guest here at 2:30, Mark Thompson, the chairman of the Elections Commission in Wisconsin. But
very important topic that will be.
Let's perhaps get to a statement by the NAACP regarding what it is that Trump had to say. And I'm looking for my version of it, Dom, because I got lots of articles up, but here it is, I believe. The Washington Examiner's version, the NAACP accused President Trump of continuous, lowbrow, callous, and unfiltered racism after he reportedly called Haiti, El Salvador, and African nations, and there it is again, Dom, shathole countries, as we're using on the FCC, as our nation's fights to move forward. Our president falls deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole of racism and xenophobia, the NAACP said in a statement Thursday. The United States' position as a moral leader throughout the world has been thoroughly damaged by the continuous lowbrow, callous, and unfiltered racism repeatedly espoused by President Trump. His decision to use profanity to describe African, Central American, and Caribbean countries is not only a low mark for this president, it is a low mark for our nation. Well, I'm not sure if I'd go quite that far down. His election, I would say, is a lower mark for our country, but let me read one more.
Oh, don't worry, it could get worse.
It is clear that the president wants to return America to its ugly past of white supremacy, where immigration laws, as well as laws of society, only favored individuals from European nations and European ancestry. The statement from the civil rights group added, "Make America great again." That's really make America white again. Folks, we are the devil's advocates. He of Jesus hair, that's Dominic. I have no hair and red hat. I am Cody. And this is Friday. We air grievances. My lack of hair, that's a big problem. But I would be unstoppable with hair like yours, Dom. I would rule the world.
See, y'all got to have something. Keep you humble.
And keeps me humble. Come back with us. I'll keep being humble on the other side. You can join us, Friday Grievances. But hold on, we got a fine guest next. He's Mark Thompson, Elections Commissioner, Chairman. He's a dumb, and he thinks Scott Fitzgerald's a coward, much like I
do. My foe, my enemy, is an animal. And in order to conquer him, I have to think like an animal, and whenever possible, to look like one.
Diversity and diversity.
Oh, it looks good on you, though.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. This year's primary will be held on February 20th, and the spring election is on April 3rd. We will not be taken for granted.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344,
Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
On the line, Miss Patty Flowers. She is Red Cross.
I'm the CEO for the state of Wisconsin.
Wow. Well, we couldn't have had a better person to represent the Red Cross.
Well, I think the number one thing that we've got to remember is that people are suffering, and this is the time of year when it's even worse during the holidays.
You are going to continue the same policy that you've had for decades when it comes to the east side. But these other zip codes is where you're changing the policy. Can you see where people may have a question about that?
We are going into the zip codes. We're just simply asking that people come to us and meet us.
Is this because Milwaukee is perceived to be unsafe? Milwaukee Central City.
We have long-standing agreements with taxi companies in the state.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays, noon to 3 on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Come on, man.
Good afternoon. It is 2:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. I have some headlines for you. Critics of a new bill in Madison aimed at school violence say it would violate student privacy, disproportionately affect poor and disabled students, and widen the school-to-prison pipeline. Tens of thousands of needy but able-bodied Wisconsin residents will have to find a job in order to keep their Medicaid insurance under a new plan by Governor Walker. In the Wisconsin senatorial campaign, Tammy Baldwin raised more than $2.8 million in the fourth quarter of 2017, compared to $800,000 for Kevin Nicholson and $400,000 for Leah Vukmir. The Wisconsin DNR is planning to increase camping fees and daily admission fees at many popular state parks. And the NBA champion Golden State Warriors are in town tonight to take on the Bucks. For 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, my name is Brian Kelly.
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. It's a Friday. We air grievances. We got some big news coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. But Dom, right now we got a fine guest. He joins us live via phone. He is Mark Thompson. He is the chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Mark, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, good afternoon, Mark. Thank you.
Mark, you've been down here to our Brady Street studio. We asked you to sign the lobby table. You wrote fair elections. Mark, do you think most of our audience, do you think most of the people out there are aware that we've got an election coming up, a special election in Wisconsin on Tuesday? We've got primaries coming up for the Supreme Court in February, and we've got a general election in April, sir. Do you think the people know, Mark? Are we getting them informed?
If they're listening to the radio, listening to you guys, and reading the news, I would say yes. It's a question of paying attention and participating.
Mark, we've enlisted State Senator LaTanya Johnson. She's doing some PSAs for 1510 a.m. for our station. We are making our efforts. I know the Republicans haven't funded many efforts to educate people on the topic of voter ID. Sir, the last election, we've seen some studies that say there was a depression and a suppression of the vote, my terms, because people were not fully aware whether or not they were eligible to vote with voter ID. Mark, have we turned the corner on this issue? We've got like 4 different elections during the course of the year. Mark, do you think people are even well informed as to what ineligible voter ID is in the state of Wisconsin, sir?
You know, for your listeners, if there's any confusion, get on the Wisconsin Elections Commission web page, and they'll detail exactly what you need to do and how to do it. As we know from a recent study by a professor over in Madison, many people have the right ID, but just believe that they may not have it. So the sure bet is to get on the web page or call the Election Commission staff and find out whether you've got the right ID, and if you don't, go get one. It's important that you vote and participate.
Mark, as a guest on our show not so long ago, we were talking about the fact that apparently there were efforts, according to the Department of Homeland Security, to hack Wisconsin elections. Mark, as we've mentioned, 4 elections this year. How safe and secure can we feel that Wisconsin ballots will be from outside tampering, be they agents foreign or domestic, sir?
You know, currently we have Mike Haas as our acting interim administrator. He has been working with Department of Homeland Security and getting regular updates in terms of what Wisconsin needs to look out for. With him at the helm, I'm absolutely confident that in conjunction with the federal government, we'll do everything we can to make sure that the Russian government stays out of Wisconsin elections.
Mark,
and it's...
I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. Continue your thought.
No, that's fine.
Well, Mark, I was going to say, when the Department of Homeland Security told your agency and others that we were one of the 21 targeted states, to my memory, the very next day, I think it was Brad Schimmel in the AG's office said, well, that information is erroneous. And if I recall correctly, sir, you said something to the effect at the time, well, either we're owed an explanation or we're owed an apology. Mark, have we gotten to the bottom of this issue? A, were the Russians trying to hack Wisconsin elections? And B, do you feel confident that we've gotten to the bottom of it as far as we can under the time frame circumstances?
I am confident that it's been straightened out. There were issues of figuring out the lines of communication and the feds contacting the states in a timely manner. And I know there were some protocol changes made. And as far as I know from our current administrator, things are moving along smoothly, and we shouldn't have those types of miscommunications this time around. But if I may, I would like to address something that's very important to all the people of Wisconsin, and I'm assuming you've been paying attention. Senator Fitzgerald has asked for Mr. Haas to resign, and, you know, as an employer and as a former steel worker and a lawyer for years and years, you know, when someone does their job really well, they're supposed to get a raise. They're not supposed to get fired. Mike Haas has been the administrator for a year and a half. He's done an exceptional job. No one has accused him of being partisan or doing anything improper. He has handled the recount with the whole world watching us. We got done early. We didn't have any hanging chads. And here we are, and Mr. Fitzgerald is trying to get Mr. Haas fired. So for all your listeners, write your state senators and tell them to have the guts to stand up to Fitzgerald, who won't even give Mike Haas a hearing.
Folks, you're listening.
He deserves your support.
Sorry about that, Mark. Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio 1510 AM. Mark Thompson, chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission, joins us on the phone. Mark, you seem to be standing up against Fitzgerald. News reports this week, you're calling him names, calling him a coward, calling him a bully. Why does this seem to be getting so personal, Mark? Number one, why the animosity, and what is Fitzgerald's issue with Haas?
Well, you know, Mr. Fitzgerald has not identified a single piece of evidence that would indicate that Mr. Haas can't be fair. And in my world, and, you know, my parents grew up in the center of the state up and met in Berlin High. You know, it was fair play, and if you did your job, you got promotions. And the Elections Commission, Dean Knutson, a Republican member of the commission, moved and asked the Senate to have a hearing on Mr. Haas's confirmation, and to date, Mr. Fitzgerald said there isn't going to be a hearing, and that's what I call cowardly conduct. This is not personal. When the leader of the Senate acts like a king rather than an elected representative and won't even give a hard-working person a hearing before he asks for his head on a plate, that is being a bully. So this is not, you know, this is just stating the facts. You know, no fake news here.
Well, Mark, certainly both Haas and Bell have been villainized. My understanding, you talk about lack of a hearing, that will not stop them from proceeding with a vote of confirmation. I believe the 23rd, the date that was pointed towards. Mark, effectively, they're going to fire these people with no evidence, no public hearing, and no due process. I understand why you would call them a coward, but let's talk about the underlying motive. This seems like vengeance, not because of any specific action of Haas or Bell, but because the Republicans that are now in power, sir, and I'm just speaking my opinion, they don't like the fact that they were investigated for what I understood to be campaign finance irregularities. You know, they were breaking what the GAB directed them was the law when they were doing it. And of course, they've destroyed the GAB, and now they want to take control of the ethics and elections boards. Mark, this seems like a bridge too far to me.
You know, I am hoping that there are Republican senators out there that have the courage to stand up and do the right thing. I am not convinced that on January 23rd, Fitzgerald will have the votes. We've already seen Senator Olson raise concerns on his end about the fact that this looks like a partisan witch hunt. And if there would be a few more Republican senators that actually have a backbone and stand up and say, let's do the right thing here, and not, in using your words, not go on this witch hunt or vengeance out of some past concern that didn't even involve Mr. Haas. You know, Mr. Haas has just been doing his job with elections for years and years and years. He has a national reputation. He has a wife and children. And, you know, think of this. You do your job right, and just before Christmas, somebody asks for your head on a platter. You know, this is just morally repugnant. And, you know, that's why I call the senator a coward. This is just wrong.
Mark, the board itself is comprised of both Democrats and Republicans, equal measure. The board unanimously issued a vote of confidence, but that seems unmoving to these Republicans to date. Mark, how can they go against the wishes of the board? I understand there's some question of who actually the power is vested in, whether it's a Senate confirmation or the board itself. Mark, I'm sure you've got some opinion. Who do you think the power should be vested in to decide whether or not these gentlemen are doing a good enough job or perhaps even exceeding expectations?
You know, the statute that we all have to follow is one that was created by the current one-party government that we live under. And under the law, only a majority of the commission can terminate Mr. Haas. So as far as I'm concerned, until there is a 4-2 vote or a majority vote against Mr. Haas, he will continue to serve as the interim administrator. I would ask the Senate to have the courage to confirm Mike Haas and make him the permanent administrator. He is a public servant that deserves his support. And here again, this is key. Your listeners need to email and write letters to the senators and tell them to do the right thing and confirm Mike Haas.
Mark, is that your final thought? I'll give you one more opportunity. Any stones left unturned for today, sir?
It would be the belated holiday present to Mr. Haas and his family. If your listeners would call their neighbors and we swamp these senators with letters and emails with a simple thing: do the right thing, confirm Mike Haas.
Mark Thompson, chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission, thank you so much for joining us here and airing your Friday grievances, sir.
Thank you so much. You guys are great.
Thank you,
really
Mark.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it, yep.
Thanks, Mark. You can always join this show. A couple of dirty white boys down here on Brady, 844-967-2789. It is Friday. It is our tradition to air grievances. And I got a lot of problems with a few of the people in the state of Wisconsin.
And now you're going to hear about it.
Who is the gopher's ally, his friend? The harmless squirrel and the friendly rabbit. I'm gonna use you two guys to do my dirty work for me.
I love being governor.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal conduct that this corruption investigation revealed. Scott Walker was breaking laws.
And Brad Schimel fails to acknowledge the 6 criminal convictions, 4 felonies in the Scott Walker John Doe 1. Was that also a partisan witch hunt?
One newspaper has done a good job. It's a national paper, the Wall Street Journal.
And AG Schimel filed an embarrassing hack partisan bull report where he's still looking for the leaker. Get a clue! Wasn't it Eric O'Keefe from Wisconsin Club for Growth?
Well, it's I was born to do this.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org. P4ppc.org.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward, it's the right way to clean.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella. As Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines, it's my job to make sure your network is up 99.999% of the time. Technology is constantly evolving, and keeping your business up to date in an ever-changing environment can be a hassle. At Five Nines, we're here to help. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. Better IT gives your business a competitive advantage. Learn how Five Nines can help at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
Step out of the car, please.
I probably made a mistake.
probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slecker.
There is a teacher exit.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
Even their new motto, resist. And I guess it's a pretty accurate motto. Every time I see it, I say, that's right.
Wreaking havoc on America, just like they wreaked havoc on Wisconsin. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM. WRRD. You can join us anytime on the phones. Air your grievances. It's Friday, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I want to thank our most recent guest to find one indeed, Mark Thompson, chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. He's a Dem, but I would point out Dems and Republicans on the board are getting along pretty well. In fact, Bruce Murphy, our friend over at the online daily urbanmilwaukee.com, publishes a piece. I think it's very timely under the circumstances. Let's talk a little more about the coward Fitzgerald, Don.
Oh, don't forget Bully.
The strange rage of Scott Fitzgerald, according to Murphy's Law.
Trump, 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 Trump.
Pants, pants.
Trump, 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 Trump.
Pants, pants.
You know, as a man, I cannot go that high. I don't have that
pants
high timber.
If you practice, you get there.
Well, maybe it's my big hands. They just won't let me go that high, Dom. Is it my imagination, or does the state capitol just keep getting stranger?
Yep.
Consider the behavior of Republican Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald, who has called for the Senate to remove the Wisconsin Elections Commission Administrator Michael Haas from his job. This is bizarre on many levels. Fitzgerald, after all, was amongst the Republican leaders who scrapped the state Government Accountability Board, whose board members were retired judges, at least half of which had Republican backgrounds, but which Fitzgerald and other GOP legislators accused of running an anti-Republican agency. So it was goodbye to the GAB and hello to a new state elections commission and ethics commission, each with an even number of Republicans and Democrats. You know how those righties, they like their order, Dom. Equally cut grass blades and all that kind of stuff.
Keep the feng shui straight.
Republican and Democratic appointees on their board. Somehow they would have to agree on policies to follow, and from all accounts, the Election Commission Board did this quite well. Julie M. Glancy, an appointee of Governor Scott Walker to the commission, says the board members have worked very well together. Here's a quote. There's very little political posturing, she says, and nearly every vote taken has been unanimous. Glancy speaks highly of our most recent guest, Board Chairman Mark Thompson, a Democratic appointee she says is doing a good job. We think so as well. One of the first decisions the board made was to hire an administrator, and they unanimously chose Haas, who had served since July of 2016. Glancy says she had no idea what political views Haas holds, nor anyone else on the staff there. They don't bring politics into any communication or work they do. Well, I would say similar to the staff at the GAB, but, you know, that's not the righties version. Glancy is a retired county clerk in Sheboygan who handled local elections for 28 years and says she has never heard a complaint about Haas from any election clerks in the state for his work with the Elections Commission or his previous 8 years with the GAB. Mike is truly a professional. He is well respected, not just by the elections clerk in the state, but amongst elections professionals nationally. Haas serves on the board of National Association of State Election Directors. But Fitzgerald and Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos have insisted that Haas and Elections Commission Administrator Brian Bell should be sacked in response to vague accusations against many people contained in the sloppy error-filled report on the John Doe investigation by District Attorney Brad Schimmel. In fact, Dominic, neither Haas nor Bell were among the 9 people Schimmel recklessly, and in parentheticals he writes, without specifying the evidence, recklessly suggested should be investigated for contempt of court. They didn't make the naughty list, Dom, yet here they go. Yet Voss and Fitzgerald say they had concerns that Haas and Bell might be partisan and not impartial administrators.
Haas sent a letter to Voss and Fitzgerald demanding an apology for, quote, trashing my name and reputation, insisting their statements implying he had been involved in criminal activity are verifiably false, and declaring the lawmakers offered not the least bit of evidence to support those claims, as WisPolitics reported. The response from Fitzgerald and Voss? Nothing. Fitzgerald has called on the state Senate to vote to fire Haas and Bell from their jobs. In response, the board members of the Election Commission, 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats, unanimously voted in favor of a resolution proposed by GOP appointee Dean Knudsen, asking Fitzgerald and the Senate to hold a public hearing on whether Haas should be fired. The response from Fitzgerald? Nothing. Thompson later, as we reported as well, called Fitzgerald a coward and a bully for his refusal to hold a public hearing and provide evidence of any wrongdoing by Haas. The response from Fitzgerald? Nothing. His spokesman, Dan
Portal,
thank you, merely reiterated that the Senate will vote January 23rd on removing Haas and Bell. Fitzgerald isn't just attacking Haas, but the 6 board members of the Election Commission who hired Haas and unanimously voted a month ago to retain him, Thompson says. Republicans created this entity and the 6 commissioners have been doing the job they were asked to do, Thompson notes, and Mr. Fitzgerald has no confidence in the job we are doing.
One more, Ann Jacobs, another Democratic commissioner, says this: we are an independent agency and not under the power of the Senate. Although the Senate, they expect and hope to usurp the power of the Elections Commission. Seems like typical day at the office for the Republicans here in the state of Wisconsin.
They're just salty about the John Doe.
Especially the cowardly lion. He's fit. And let's not forget Robin Voss. At least he'll tell you he's going to punch you in the mouth, and then he'll punch you in the mouth. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates will punch you in the mouth, rhetorically speaking. We air grievances. You can as well. 844-967-2789.
What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken?
The most important decision you can make right now is where do you stand? Goodness or badness?
Sounds nice. It's not nice. It's not good.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates. 282-6200. 282-6200.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Rich is just a really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha.
Singular mission. Winter's back. I'm Michael Toscano. President Trump may have signaled he does not support the compromise immigration deal worked out between Democratic and Republican senators using language described as racist and vile, but Democratic Senator Dick Durbin says the group remains committed to the plan. Durbin calling for a floor vote on protecting the Dreamers brought here illegally as kids.
I'm not going to quit. I have a singular mission, and the mission is this: to give these Dreamers and as many members of their families as possible a chance to be part of America's future in a legal status.
Durbin says the compromise will pass if GOP leader Mitch McConnell allows a vote. The winter storm that hit the Midwest with blizzard conditions is stretching across the U.S. now. Snow and flood alerts for dozens of states from Texas to Maine in effect this weekend. Bob Oravich at NOAA's Weather Prediction Center telling us things have been changing.
Across areas from the lower Mississippi Valley through the Ohio Valley up through the eastern Great Lakes, it's currently snowing, in some areas snowing very heavily. And these are areas that were just warm a day or so ago.
As much as a foot of snow could fall in New York and New England. A judge has ruled a Kansas woman accused of decapitating her ex-boyfriend's mother is not competent to stand trial. 35-year-old Rachel Hilliard of Wichita ordered back to treatment. With its stock value dropping and with criticism that it has allowed itself to be weaponized as a political tool by entities such as Russia and for allowing hate speech, Facebook is making changes. Facebook executive Adam Mosseri telling us.
So the idea is to try and focus more on bringing people together by trying to put more emphasis on facilitating more meaningful social interactions between people. And the way we do that in ranking is to value things like commenting or writing a long comment more, and valuing things like how long we think you might watch a video for less.
Wall Street trading just closed a moment ago for the day and the week, with markets now firmly established in their best start to any year since 2003. Stocks surging today on high corporate earnings. I'm Michael Toscano.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Hey, what are you doing on Sunday afternoon? I'm Stu Daniels, inviting you to join me for Stu Man PM, Politics and Music, Sundays from 4 to 6 p.m. It's your Sunday afternoon update on politics and music, two of my favorite topics. This Sunday, my guest will be Ernell Lucas, candidate for Milwaukee County Sheriff. We'll talk politics, we'll talk music. Stu Man PM, right after Battleground, Wisconsin, Sundays, 4 to 6 p.m., right here on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Talk. Some timing that could be described as awkward today at the White House, as we hear from Bob Costantini.
The president's supposed profane comment was in response to senators who wanted him to reinstate temporary preferred status to immigrants from several countries, including in Africa. People who'd been allowed to stay because of conditions in their homelands. A day afterward, Mr. Trump hosted a ceremony honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
We celebrate his legacy and we pledge to fight for his dream of equality, freedom, justice, and peace.
When the event was over, however, the president refused to answer questions about what he allegedly said Thursday in a private meeting with senators. Bob Costantini, Washington.
President Trump took a motorcade from the White House to Walter Reed Military Hospital in Bethesda this afternoon. That's just outside Washington. He had an appointment for his first full medical checkup as president on his schedule for the day. As far as we know, he's still there, getting checked out. I'm Michael Toscano.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
What? Why? Just wait for the inheritance. We've definitely got a rich uncle somewhere. We're one call away from the winner's circle at the Derby, dinners with multiple forks, a vacation home in the country, using summer as a verb.
You don't actually think that, do you?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
If you're a single man under the age of 35, you'd probably like to know what the ladies are looking for on an online dating site. A guy who had a few drinks and later got pulled over for buzzed driving. See, that could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And doesn't a guy who's back living with his parents but calls them my roommates just scream Mr. Right?
buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the ad.
Good afternoon. It is 3:05 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Tens of thousands of needy but able-bodied Wisconsin residents will have to find a job in order to keep their Medicaid insurance under a new plan by Governor Walker. The Trump administration opened the way for states to require Medicaid recipients to participate in skills training, education, job search, volunteering, or caregiving. Walker and 9 other Republican governors want to place the new requirements on the health care program for the poor, but they needed the federal government to approve it. Democratic National Committee spokesperson Mandy McClure blasted the proposal, calling it inhumane and saying that the vast majority of Medicaid recipients already work or face some type of obstacle such as disability or old age. Tonight, mostly clear, lows around 5 degrees, wind chills between minus 10 and 0. Currently still holding at 19 degrees in Milwaukee and 18 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m., WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. It's Friday, Dom, my favorite show of the week. The weekend's almost here.
Amen, brother.
And Dom, we've got some big news we're going to announce, but not yet.
Oh, you big tease.
I feel like Oprah. You know, I got to salt it away. If I just learn to tell people what's coming on next on the show in the future.
Just keep on talking about the future and what's going to happen. You never really have to worry about talking about something right now.
Then someday I could be Oprah and perhaps eventually the President of the United States.
Keep trying. Keep trying.
Joy rising!
So, Dom, we spent some time and effort today to go see Speaker Paul Ryan in Milwaukee, right down the road. Cold out there, though. That's cold.
Yeah, you had a busy couple of days, man. You didn't have a heavy jacket with you.
No, I didn't even travel home last night. Thanks for letting me crash on the futon.
Hey, man, anytime.
At the Shea Salvia.
fancy digs.
I had business meetings this morning and then on chasing Speaker Paul Ryan. And I would point out the business meeting in regards to 1510 a.m. WRRD's coverage of the Women's March. That's going to be a huge event here in Milwaukee next weekend.
A week from tomorrow.
We are going to broadcast that event live. Jocasta Zamaripa will be our lead anchor? Anchoress?
I think anchor's fine.
She'll be our heroine. She'll lead the show that day. She will do a fine job. I will be there to help guide her, but she's going to take the lead, Dom. We are going to do 5 hours of coverage of the Women's March. So please tune in. March 20th, beginning at 10 a.m. We'll run till approximately 3 p.m. But, Dom, let's get back to the Paul Ryan son. We'll need Fancy Brian here. Perhaps he'll join us.
The field trip. Our friends over at WisPolitics, and we always got to thank these folks. Jeff Mayers, the MC, and our contact over there, Colin.
The tireless Jeff Mayers.
Yes. Thank you so much, folks. If you ever get a chance, I really appreciate what they do. They bring the politicians into a forum like that where you can go and check them out, have a lunch, hear Jeff interview, and occasionally they will take questions from the audience. So
but they're also a Wisconsin news service. You can sign up for their subscriptions. We've had them for years, Dom. They're amongst the best.
Yes, they are. Thank you once again, WisPolitics, Jeff and Colin.
So, Speaker Ryan was asked, what about the shathole question? He did say, I was quite busy, 702 FISA, but this was unfortunate.
That's unfortunate. Not helpful.
Not helpful. But what else? Speaker Ryan did talk about the tax cuts. Now, this was supposed to be the centerpiece of this policy forum, this Q&A.
All about taxes.
So anyways, it was about taxes. But what I noted, Speaker Paul Ryan, he said something, and I hope it shows up in a campaign political ad at some point in the future. Paul Ryan said effectively, some people say that these tax cuts for the rich will be the Republicans' Obamacare. If you would fancy, play cut 3.
I do think the Democrats made a miscalculation by every single Democrat opposing it in both the House and the Senate. I think they believe this is our Obamacare, that when they pass...
Yeah, this is our Obamacare. I guess we're having a few issues with the Speaker Ryan cuts. But let's keep going. Dems believe, as we mentioned, that the tax cuts are their Obamacare, that this will be a point of opposition that they can rally around. And I think he may not want to realize it or at least acknowledge it, but he sounded a lot like Nancy Pelosi saying, wait till you read it. Wait till people see how great it is. There's so much good stuff in this bill. Just give it time. If you would, Fancy Brian, one more Paul Ryan play cut for.
This law is becoming more popular once it gets enacted. This law, once people actually realize what it actually does do, is popular. It's been hit and savaged, and pundits have been slamming it with a bunch of falsehoods that don't exist. So that now that you see what it actually does, we believe...
This sounds exactly like Obamacare,
Just
Dom.
have to wait. Just got to wait, folks. Be patient.
Isn't that exactly what the Republicans did to Obamacare?
Seems very similar.
They villainized it. Of course, the motive's a little different, Dom.
Yeah, slightly.
Obamacare, of course, was to extend health care to millions of additional Americans. And this proposition of the Ryan making is, of course, great if you're rich, great if you're a pass-through business, not so great if you're a poor person.
And, of course, no mention today by Speaker Ryan that, these tax cuts for everyone other than businesses will expire.
No, he did not bring that up.
Not one little time.
I didn't hear him talking about Russian collusion either, but that's a whole different subject. If you would, Fancy Brian, more Paul Ryan from earlier today. Cut 5, Republicans and retirees, cut 5.
It was something I pretty much expected. One thing we do differently than the Democrats is we term limit our chairman, and I'm a big believer in that. I would not have been a chair of two committees had we not had term limits.
From the
and it causes a lot of turnover in the House Republicans. And you can be a chairman of a committee for 6 years. And when you're done with that 6 years, you're no longer a chairman of a committee. And most of our chairmanships are on the same cycle since we...
Okay, so anyways, he is describing the retirement of like 8 Republican chairmen of House committees. This is a really good thing. This is the way the system is supposed to work.
Yes,
6-year term limits.
All planned.
But he did acknowledge, while they have a 24-seat majority, according to Paul Ryan, the average midterm elective cycle goes against the presidential party that won by about 32 seats. He knows it's an uphill battle, yet he's still very optimistic. Because, of course, these tax benefits, Tom, they're already starting to work. Didn't you hear the great news about Walmart? Fancy Brian, if you would, let's hear Speaker Ryan talking all about the great news at Walmart, where they're getting pay raises and bonuses. And he hardly even mentioned the store closings. Cut 6.
Just take a look at the announcements we've seen in the last 20 days. Walmart just extended their maternity leave policy. They just increased by about 20% their minimum wage. They also closed them.
And they also closed some Sam's Club stores.
But his response to that was, but those were business plans that had already been set in motion.
Already in the works.
But the tax cuts, well, they're entirely the reason for the bonuses, quote unquote, and the pay raise from like $9 to $11 an hour. About time, Walmart. I'm getting a little sick of subsidizing your employees like we do here in the state of Wisconsin.
If Walmart didn't see the tax cuts coming and they responded by giving their, some employees raises and raising their minimum start dollar number, why wouldn't that have an impact potentially on whether or not they close these 62, I believe, Sam's Clubs, 2 of which are in Wisconsin, 1 Madison, 1 here in Milwaukee?
Because, of course, his logic does not hold up, Dom. And at one point, he actually uttered the words, I'm going to flip the logic. Like, I'm going to take reason, I'm going to turn it on its head And then my plan is sensible and makes all the sense in the world. The topic was what progressives are saying about these tax cuts. I'm not sure how good these cuts are coming out, but let's keep trying. Cut 7, if you would, Fancy Brian. What's in it for people at Janesville? Well, hell, you're getting a $2,000 tax cut, at least if you got a job.
The average middle-income taxpayer here in Wisconsin gets a $2,000 tax cut right away, and that's before you see the wage increases that are now.
Yeah, before the wage increases, maybe we should just cut these out. These aren't turning out very well. But before the wage increases that are going to obviously come, because all these corporations now, thanks to the Republican tax cuts, will have more money in their pockets, and they're going to give it all to labor.
Well, I will skip how Paul Ryan seems to justify the former inversion of Johnson control, why this tax deal is such a great idea when we don't get to coop or recoup any of the profits created by foreign subsidiaries that bring their goods, sell them in the United States, make the profit in the United States, but we are not going to capture any of that profit in the United States. Progressives just don't get it. Believe me, Paul Ryan, Trump's lapdog, did say that today. But Medicare and Social Security. Now, Paul Ryan acknowledges, I'm not sure if this cut's going to play out. I'm going to try to set the stage just in case. Paul Ryan starts by acknowledging he was a survivor benefit recipient of Social Security. This entire video, this entire clip is on our Facebook page. It's about 2 minutes. So he acknowledges, I benefited from the social safety welfare
Survivor
net.
benefits from Social Security, helped put him through college.
And therefore, I care so much, we've got to reform Social Security. We got to reform Medicare.
They're going bankrupt.
Because they're going bankrupt. And in fact, they're going to start diminishing their benefits in 2030. So 13 years from now, there might be a diminishment in benefits. So now's the time to act. Only here's the problem, Dom. He doesn't have the power to jam this bill through the Senate.
Not through reconciliation.
Without getting some bipartisan support. And of course, the Democrats aren't all down for destroying Social Security, block granting Medicare. So he doesn't think this one's going forward in 2018. But, you know, if the gremlins in the computer allow, let's try it. Speaker Paul Ryan, cut 10.
I went to college partly paid for by my Social Security survivor benefits. It's an essential, it's probably the most important program. That Medicare and Social Security are the two most important programs arguably we've got. They're going bankrupt. You know, we're already cashing in the IOUs for Social Security, and then when those go away in the early 2030s, people get an automatic across the board 23% benefit cut. I would like to prevent that from happening. And the sooner we act to prevent that from happening, the easier it is to prevent that from happening. I just think it's being honest with people. Same with Medicare. More than half of Medicare's funding.
So he's going to blow up the deficits with these tax cuts for the rich. And then we got to do something about the deficits. But of course, he doesn't say it like that. He says, well, of course, this is going to stimulate growth. And you can't ever tax your way out of a deficit. You can only grow your way out of a deficit, he claims. And of course, what's really the problem of the American people is those damn old people getting older. Baby boomers aging out. So we got to do something about Social Security, Medicare. And he cares so much about your grandma. He doesn't want to push her off a cliff. He wants to make sure she gets all the stuff she's entitled to. So he wants to hurry up and push her off the cliff.
Do it quickly.
Perhaps my interpretation
if you rip off
of
the
it.
Band-Aid. Also note, after the Fine WisPolitics event, Speaker Ryan did not take any questions from the press. And of course, my question, how is this fiscal conservatism? And any of this? It's nothing more than a payoff. And you talked about how much this is going to benefit, your average Wisconsinite saving $2,000 a year in taxes, even if that comes to be true. Once again, also fails to mention these expire, but those corporate rates, the way they've now decided to tax corporations, well, those are going to be permanent. Why? Well, we had to find some way to fund this thing, and doing it through reconciliation, well, hell, we're limited in what we can do.
Dominic, we've got a fine candidate, a Democrat running for Wisconsin's 58th Assembly District. He is Dennis Degenhardt. He's going to join us live in our Brady Street studio soon. Your buddy Ron Johnson coming to Brady, our little shat hole. Hope it's nice enough for the U.S. Senator.
I think
He's
it'll be
been
all
here
right.
before. He might be a little tardy, but he'll be here in the 4 o'clock hour. And we will lead the 4 o'clock hour, the happy hour, with a really big announcement about WRD 1510 AM. Come back with us. Your phone calls right now appreciated. 844-967-2789.
Calling the nations they come from shitholes.
I want to thank the President of the United States for his steadfast leadership.
Joy rising! Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that
I'm using
failed
facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more, it's a no-brainer, I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crute Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean. Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Live via phone, he is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
And we are back. thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Phone lines open 844-967-2789. Got a guest coming up at the bottom of the hour, Dennis Degenhardt, candidate for Wisconsin's Assembly District 58. But right now, let's get your phone calls. Randy from Madison, you're up, you're next. Happy Friday. Thanks for calling. What do you got for us?
Welcome, Randy.
Hey guys, how you doing? Listen, I want you to hold Rojo's feet to the fire here. He's complicit, and I kind of think that when he did his thing about holding out about the tax cuts, it was just grandstanding. And then let's look, it reminds me of the guy from Arizona who's quitting. He evidently made a lot of money. They shifted the code to help his personal business. That old dude that's
you thinking Bob Corker from Ohio, sir?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so here's the deal. You gotta hold. Look, Rojo's been coming on your radio show for years and years, and I know you guys like him, but I want you to start going harder on him, because there's a huge word in America now, and it's complicit.
All right, Randy, I thought you were asking me to give the man an atomic wedgie, but I'll ask him about complicitness. I do have an emailed question for some fine people. They say, he never really faces his constituents. And someone asked me, why don't you allow Ron to take questions on the air? Because we've tried that experiment, and it was a big failure. All people could do is shake a fist and say, I don't even want to talk to the man. Well, then why did you call him? So we've tried. It doesn't ever seemingly work out. We've tried town halls on the phone. They only work in person.
844-967-2789. Peter from Florida by way of Hartford. Hey, Peter, welcome to the show. What do you got for us today?
Hey, Peter.
Hey, great. And if these questions are worthy, please make them to Ron. I know Trump won Wisconsin, Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. That's why he's president. These people didn't vote for tax cuts for billionaires and their offspring when they die. They voted on tariffs for Mexico and China. When do we see them? Next question for you guys. Mr. Trump, today, Africa, Haiti, and Norway. Trump doesn't want people coming from Africa and Haiti, but he wants more people from Norway. Does Mr. Johnson know that people from Norway aren't going to immigrate to the United States because they got great health care, a higher standard of living, phenomenal education, and their poor people end up being middle class and don't get treated like trash? Now, in Africa and Haiti, I understand these countries, but the IMF and the World Bank have always cut deals with the dictators in that country, made them very wealthy, while they raped and pillaged the people. Does Mr. Trump know that? And leaves the people with the debt. That's the reason why we got the problem we have.
Peter, thank you so much for your call. Got to cut you a little short, I suspect. Paul Ryan says, I got some Haitian friends. They're the good kind of Haitians. They're doctors.
And great citizens.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Rojo coming up in the happy hour. We got a fine guest. He joins us next. His name, Dennis Degenhardt. He's a Dem. He's running for Wisconsin's Assembly District 58 special election coming on Tuesday. Dennis Degenhardt coming up next.
I'm going to talk to you about that, Ron.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. Making sure Wisconsin residents continue to have equal and fair access to voting is very important to me. Here are some key things you should know. Wisconsin requires a photo ID, and chances are you already have what you need to vote. A Wisconsin DMV-issued driver's license. You can use this even if it's revoked or suspended. A Wisconsin DMV-issued identification card. A military ID issued by the U.S. Uniformed Services, or a U.S. passport book or card. You can use these items even if they're expired, as long as the expiration date is after the most recent general election held on November 8, 2016. For more information about registering to vote, please visit myvote.wi.gov or call the Wisconsin Election Commission Help Desk at 608 261-2028. We won't be taken for granted.
This message was brought to you by WRRD 1510 AM. This is the People's Sheriff. I need you to keep listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Can I count on you?
Going through divorce is a very emotional time in someone's life, and when I went through my first divorce, I really needed someone to help me through the legal aspects of what my rights were. That's why I got in contact with Lawton and Cates.
The attorneys at Lawton & Cates. It's who you turn to for legal advice. 282-6200 or lawtoncates.com.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton & Cates.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
Join the Resistance, WRRD, Resistance Radio. Tune in Monday through Friday beginning at 7 a.m. The Earl Ingram Show starts your day from 7 to 9. Then join Brian and Daryl for 414 Wisconsin from 9 to 11. You can hear the Tom Hartman program from 11 to 2. Then from 2 to 5, it's the Devil's Advocates with Dom and Crute. Tune in to 1510 a.m. throughout the day. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Good afternoon. It is 3:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Critics of a new bill in Madison aimed at school violence say it would violate student privacy, disproportionately affect poor and disabled students, and widen the school-to-prison pipeline. Educators and disability rights advocates voiced their opposition yesterday at a hearing held by the Assembly Judiciary Committee on the so-called Teacher Protection Act. The author of the bill, Representative Jeremy Thiesfeld, Republican from Fond du Lac, said the bill is necessary because of the, quote, social justice agenda, end quote, in some schools. Committee members Chris Taylor, Democrat from Madison, said what schools need is more funding for special education teachers and services. Tonight, mostly clear, lows around 5 degrees, still holding at 19 in Milwaukee and 17 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m. WRRD, my name is Brian Kelly.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dom, we've been joined live on Brady by a fine Dem candidate for Wisconsin's 58th Assembly District, Dennis Degenhardt. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show, sir. I'm getting taken back to college days. When Dom and I were college roommates in La Crosse, every Friday night, I think at 9 o'clock, they would do the long play of In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. I think that's so the DJ could go out back and smoke one.
That's this one right now. I can have it playing the entire segment if you want it.
Pretty much the entire rest of the hour. Dennis, welcome to our little Brady Street studio, sir.
Well, thank you, and that's a great way to welcome me. I talk about that being the signature song of the 60s, and that's been my ringtone on my phone for quite a while.
It's a great song.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming down, man.
Well, Dennis, we appreciate civically activated human beings like yourself. You have thrown your head into the ring, and there is a election coming up. A lot of people probably are unaware. Special election. It's Tuesday, right?
Tuesday.
And this is for the former Bob Gannon Republican held seat.
Next
Tuesday, like 4 days from like 4 days and 4 hours about.
But who's counting?
Yeah.
That would be January 16th.
Correct, January 16th.
And of course, Monday's a bank holiday. So this
MLK.
one's going to sneak up on people awfully quick, isn't it?
Talking to voters on the phones, on the doors, our first question is, do you know there's a special election on the 16th? And they usually give us the look like, no. Now, they're starting to learn more and more. We've been reaching out to a lot of people, but yeah, it's who votes in January? What candidates knocking on doors in January? So yeah, it's very different. But
well, special elections are unusual. Of course, the untimely demise of Bob Boom Boom Gannon, as he was affectionately known as around here. This is something of a Republican district historically. How long have you had to get out there and try to win hearts and minds? When did you declare your candidacy?
Oh, I declared unofficially on the 15th because we had to go out and get signatures and stuff.
Which month? I'm sorry, I don't
November
mean to be
15th.
obtuse.
November 15th.
Okay, so you've had 2 months.
2 months
to get to this point
with 4 holidays in there. So we had Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, we have New Year's, and then we have Martin Luther King. So we've got a lot of holidays. People, for some reason, thought they had family things to do before Christmas.
Wow.
Getting volunteers was very difficult, and I agree. It was tough for me at times. There's family things that you have to do, and so getting the word out early was the toughest part. Luckily, I didn't have to. I was unopposed in the primary. I actually felt bad for the Republicans. There was 4 of them running, and the primary was December 19th. So 6 days before Christmas, they're out trying to do a primary. So that put a lot of crunch on them. I got over feeling bad for them quickly, but it's interesting. It's a real tight time to get out, and we're doing everything we can to just tell people to go out and vote. We're doing grassroots 101.
Dennis, we won't spend much time lingering on your opponent, but if you may fill me in, sir, as a guy who pays a lot of attention, I am completely unaware. Who is your opponent?
My opponent is the current county board chair, Rick Gundrum. He's been the chair for the last 2 years. He's been on the county board for 12 years. He's also a Slinger trustee.
And this is Washington County?
Washington County board, yeah. He's got very, very conservative chops. He ran on very conservative chops. And really the 4 Republicans were arm wrestling who was more conservative in their debate.
Dennis, if you had to say, this is the coolest, best thing about me, what would you put at the top of your resume?
I now get to say I've been on the show with you two.
Yes.
So, right there.
Well spoken, sir.
Yeah. You got to get the points wherever you can.
That's right.
Probably the most important thing that I can talk about is that I've always been a person who's more concerned about the people than anything else. My career has always been people-oriented. I come out of the credit union industry where I missed 40 years by 10 days. And it's all about people helping people and being there for people. And that's what I've done forever. And so how do I take that into the legislature and work for the people? That's really what I'm looking for.
Dennis, is the worst they can say about you is after 39 years and 355 days, you're something of a quitter, sir?
Well, I did have that moment, yes. Yeah.
Well, if I was retiring, I wouldn't stick out the other 10 days just to call it 40 years.
Yeah.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Dennis Degenhardt, a Democrat running for Wisconsin's 58th Assembly District. Okay, Dennis, how about your political background? Running as a Dem, are you involved in the party? What's your story?
Very active in the party. I've been a member of the party for quite a while, 10, 12, 15 years. I don't know. Card carrying for a long time. I'm currently the vice chair of the Washington County Dems. I've been campaigning and working on different races for things for over 30 years. I go back, I know, actively since '84. The 72 Vietnam vets against the war, we campaigned, so I did some stuff then. But last 30 years, I've been making phone calls and knocking on doors for, you name the type of race, I probably have done it, state, county, school referendums, school board, federal office as president. I've been very, very active.
Very active. Is this your first run at political office?
Yes, this is my first run. It's a little different. Before if somebody asked a tough question, I'd say, well, we'll have to ask the candidate. I don't have that excuse anymore.
Now you got to come up with the answer.
Yeah. But what I like about that is I do get to answer that question. Before I couldn't. So so there's a little bit of pressure there at times, but I like having that pressure because I want to be able to answer that question.
Well, Dennis, we'll ask you a few tough questions, but let's get to know you a little bit better first,
Okay.
sir. Family man, you got wife, kids, grandkids, any of that sort of good stuff?
Yes.
Which
Sorry.
Care to get check the boxes for us.
Yeah, no.
Give him a little detail, if you would.
Yes. Married. Linda and I have been married for 22 years. We've got between us 4 kids, 6 grandkids, 3 of each. Grandkids run ages 20 to 4. So it was kind of neat. Our 20-year-old grandson, we voted early last week. He went and registered, and his first vote ever was for his grandfather. I think that's kind of neat. You can remember.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I don't remember who I voted for first, so probably McGovern would be my guess, but I don't remember it. He probably will always be able to remember that. So that was kind of neat.
I have to claim Michael Dukakis. Sounds a bit like a disease. Let me ask you, what book are you reading right now, sir, or most recently?
I'm in the middle of reading the Chris Matthews book on Bobby Kennedy. And it's a rare book that's not baseball. I read a lot of baseball books. I'm a baseball historian also. I've been published in several books by the Society for American Baseball Research, so I'm a baseball nerd.
Okay, one more get to know you one, sir. Boxers or briefs?
Briefs.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. We've got the briefs wearing Dennis Degenhardt. He is a fine Democratic candidate for Wisconsin AD 58. A pretty good sport as well. Dennis, let's talk about some political topics. Foxconn. How's Foxconn playing out in the 58th Assembly District? Is this an issue that will play out in Tuesday's campaign?
It's an issue, but not a major issue. I think the more conservative folks up there are just glad to see Walker did something. You know, they're just supporting anything that the governor does. For a lot of people,
in a lemming light fashion, like whatever he does, it must be good.
Well, I think in some cases that is the case, and also people want to be excited about 13,000 jobs. You know, if you look at the basics, 13,000 jobs, we're going to create all these other companies. It all sounds exciting. When you look into the details, it's a nightmare. You know, I mean, we're paying twice as much for every one of those 13,000 jobs as most any other state has paid for those type of things. 25-year payback as a longtime business person. You know, if I get a payback that was stretching 5 years, it was driving me crazy. I can't imagine 25, and right now it's going to be longer. Well, we take the electrical, you know, what we're paying on our electric bills for the next 40 years, so we're stretching part of it out 40 years. Not a huge amount, but still stretched out. And having been in business long enough, when someone comes to me and say, have I got a deal for you? You just have to prove it in 90 days? No problem. I'll be glad to look at it and do it just like that.
And with that
90 days
deal,
or 25 years, they're nearly equitable, sir.
Yeah. And so to me, it's 90 days. No, I mean, I've had people do this to me because I have to vet this thing. And then when you start looking at it, so I have 90 days to decide on a foreign company who's got a terrible track record for finalizing things. And what else are they going to ask for? I would have voted no on it. There's probably not a whole lot we can do now, but you've got to look at it. And I'm concerned that now we're up to $4.5 billion with all the road work and stuff. It's going to delay road works elsewhere in the state. But, you know,
how are the roads? Sorry to interrupt, Dennis. How are the roads in Washington County? I'm dying to get there. $134 million further diverted from state roads. What about the roads in Washington County? What do your neighbors say about driving around the potholes?
We always mention 7th Street, which is like one of our main streets. And then as soon as I say 7th Street, people say, oh, you have to go over to 8th Street, the next block over. And so I've done that. Yeah, it's bad. Just drive up 45 and get on the freeway coming up there as you get the split off of 41 and 45. If you have a small car like I do, I drive in the left lane because the right lane is so washboardy, you just going to, it keeps you awake. So the roads are terrible. The roads in the state are ranked 49th in the country. We're a leader. Wisconsin. We're not someone who has 49th roads. It's disgusting. We've got to fix that.
Well, it beats our small business entrepreneurship. We're 50th at that. As someone that worked at a credit union, small lender, is there anything we can do as a state? Because this seems abysmal. And I'm sorry to interrupt, Tom.
I think if you look at, I look at West Bend, where I live now. 125 years ago, the businesses that were started were major, West Bend Company and Anger Crest and Amity Leather. These were companies, were huge companies nationally, and by 2000 we're gone. We've got some companies in West Bend who over the last couple, 2, 3, 4 years have probably grown 500 employees. It's not costing us billions of dollars for that. So we have to find a way to encourage entrepreneurs. Do we have small businesses and lending? Starting a new business is very difficult because you have to have money to start the new business, and no one will lend you.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, I know. So no one will want you to do that. So can we, the SBA is one way, but why can't Wisconsin come up with an SBA-ish type program that we could do some things to help people? I don't know if there are policies that are scaring people away from Wisconsin. It's, considering where we were 100 years ago, why are we 50th? I don't understand that. That's going to take a lot of work because that's where our future is.
Well, Dennis, if you were to take that kind of money and distribute it over, say 3,000 or 10,000 companies, how many of them are going to be able to turn around and give it to dark money third groups and be able to influence a campaign or put money directly into your campaign coffers? I mean, you'd have to do a whole lot of rounding up the cats in order to do that. Now with Foxconn, you just got one big company that you can do that with. But let me digress, if I may. When you were at the credit union for all those years, were you in the lending? I mean, that was what your expertise was?
As president, I was in everything.
Okay, now when you saw these,
a lot of the lending was, underwriting and all that. I was very active.
Underwriting. Maybe
they don't do that at
WEDC. Maybe they should learn that term. But Dennis, this deal has evolved. I mean, when we first saw the back of the napkin, it was $3 billion. And I don't know about the 13,000 jobs, but they're saying like 3 and a $10 billion plant facility from Foxconn. Now, if you start looking at some of the ancillary costs, we're up to 4.5. Now, my math says that's a 50% increase from the original deal. That original deal also
actually a little more than 50% because it was originally 2.85.
Thank you. I'm already rounding up with the 3.
Yeah, I thought they started like 1.3 billion, and Scott Walker just kind of bid himself up to 3. And then threw in another $1.5 billion for good measure.
And now $10 billion down to $9 billion plant I've seen reported.
When I saw that was probably the biggest surprise. Because we kept hearing that $10 billion. Also, wait, it's only $9 billion. And then if they only hire 1,500 people, we'll only be on the hook for $1.3 billion. What could we do with that $1.3 billion?
Yeah.
Spread it throughout the state. There's we got one corner of the state that's getting all the benefits. Up in Washington County, we're talking about we may get some benefit. How'd you like to be from Marshfield or Superior, places like they're going to get nothing out of this?
What about the environmental portion? They sold this thing. They redid our environmental laws for this particular case. I said, don't worry about it. The federal government, the Army Corps of Engineers, they're going to take care of things. And we find out, well, no, this isn't under their purview. Are you concerned about the environmental impact of this if it ever gets built?
Of course. And I'm concerned twofold. One, that site itself, but the attitude and where we're going with environmental issues and flooding and everything. It's just we're going in the wrong direction everywhere throughout the state. This is just the big picture out there showing us it. And as we learned from the flooding and the hurricanes, there's a reason for this. They're called flood zones, and that's
Dennis Degenhardt, a Democratic candidate for Wisconsin's 58th Assembly District. Dennis, the election is Tuesday, but if people still want to get involved in your campaign, what's your website?
My website is DegenhardtForAssembly.com, and Degenhardt has got a long spelling.
DEGENHARDT, DegenhardtForAssembly.com. Dennis Degenhardt, thanks for coming down to Brady, man. Last get-to-know-you question. If you were having a cold one at the happy hour, what would you be drinking?
A porter, a stout. The brewery up by us has got a chocolate coffee porter that's coming up. I thought it was supposed to be out already. I'm just waiting for that to hit.
I'm getting thirsty just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Dennis, thank you so much. Good luck in your race on Tuesday. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates live on Brady.
Thank you.
And now, please rise for our opening hymn, In the Garden of Eden by I, Ron Butterfly.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella, Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. We provide 99.999% uptime. That's the highest availability performance you can get. You have enough to worry about with your business data, web, security, and cloud services, so we'll manage your IT so you don't have to. Visit 5nines.com. That's the number 5nines.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009, or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
All right. Do we know any coke dealers?
My cousin's a cokehead.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio 1510 AM WRRD, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio, and you can join us on the phones 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I didn't know we were going to stay up all night and get freaky.
Yeah.
You know, the FCC doesn't allow this fine AM radio station to stay up all night. But that might be changing. We got a big announcement coming up after 4 today, Dom. But first and foremost, want to acknowledge Martin Luther King Jr., a holiday, maybe not observed in Arizona quite like it is around the rest of the United States. But Monday is a holiday, a banking, a postal holiday. We certainly will acknowledge it on our show. But in light of the shathole comments of our president, Donald Trump, yesterday, of course, he's talking about primarily African-American Haiti and the African nations, they're all shatholes or some profane variant thereof. Well, Donald Trump, he's making it all up. Making it all up to the people, not, always the truth. When he says it, it must be true.
When he says
if the president says it, it must be true.
I don't know if Trump thinks he's ever told a lie.
But he's going to make up all of the racially insensitive comments, be it Charlottesville, be it Shadhole, be it any of the others, murderers, rapists, and other good people. Well, today, Donald Trump had an announcement, and it was honoring Martin Luther King Jr., and no one, nor I cannot think of another human being more respected amongst the African-American community than this president, Donald Trump.
Just ask him.
He's been great for the
What do you
blacks.
got to lose?
There's my black. There's my African-American.
What the hell, man?
Here's the president, air quotes, Donald Trump honoring Martin Luther King Jr., play cut 93.
Today we gather in the White House to honor the memory of a great American hero, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Let's keep going down the list. All men are created equal, unless they're black.
Today we celebrate Dr. King for standing up for the self-evident truth Americans hold so dear, that no matter what the color of our skin or the place of our birth, we are all created equal by God.
I guarantee that's entirely off prompter.
On
prompter. If he was off prompter, he'd be throwing around some N-words.
Well, regardless of where you are born, so long as it's in this country.
And you're white.
Preferably in the eastern area, perhaps Manhattan.
But don't be too elitist. East Coast elite. More Donald Trump. He's a man of love. Let's play it for the people. Already taking us out? Play it for the people. Cut 95. All the love. MLK preached it. Trump, he just lives it.
That is what Reverend King preached all of his life. Love. Love for each other, for neighbors, and for our fellow Americans.
And nobody else. One more. Donald Trump, cut 96.
This is a great, an important day. Martin Luther King Jr. Federal holiday, 2018, by the President of the United States of America.
That's me. I'm Donald Trump. I'm the best. I'm a genius, and I'm the president.
I believe April Ryan did call after him. She, an African-American White House correspondent. Are you racist?
He didn't answer that.
No, he didn't.
He's denying what people are reporting, right and left, Dems and Republicans said. I mean, here's the question.
Say he said.
He said he said?
It's a he said, and he said it.
He did say it.
Folks, come back with us. Big news at the top of the hour. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson joins us soon. You better come back with us.
Diversity and diversity.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
The first step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
They can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
Absolutely. Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Hey, America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee.
Winter returns. The ambassador leaves. I'm Michael Toscano. Winter weather slowing the drive home for many in the eastern United States. That wintry blast that coated parts of the south this morning with sleet and ice is on the move. Bob Oravik is lead forecaster at NOAA's Weather Prediction Center.
There's also the concerns of flooding where some of the heavy rains are occurring over the snowpack across the Northeast. So it's a pretty big storm, has a lot of different characters to it, heavy snow and also heavy rain and flooding potential.
We're starting to see eastern flight delays and cancellations rising now. 100 flights canceled this hour, 900 delays with Hartsfield-Jackson International in Atlanta tops in schedule problems. The flu outbreak has now spread from coast to coast, causing severe illness and rising numbers of hospitalizations. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the season started early and it is probably peaking right now with another 11 to 13 more weeks of flu to come. Wall Street stocks are now firmly off to the best start to a new year since 2003. And Kate's checking how things looked at the closing bell.
As earnings reporting season gets underway, the major indexes hit fresh all-time highs. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up 228 points, while the S&P 500 rose 19 points, with both gaining 2% for the week. The Nasdaq climbed 49 points to advance more than 1.5% for the week.
President Trump has left Walter Reed Military Hospital outside Washington, D.C. after an afternoon undergoing his first physical exam since he became president. He helicoptered out to Air Force One for a trip to Florida. The president may have signaled that he does not support the compromise immigration deal worked out between Democratic and Republican senators, but Democratic Senator Dick Durbin says the group remains committed to the plan. Durbin is calling for a floor vote on protecting the Dreamers brought here illegally as kids. He says the compromise will pass if GOP leader Mitch McConnell will allow a vote. I'm Michael Toscano.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
That guy is a scary son of a gun, and I hope people start paying attention and get him the heck out of there, because he's like a big fascist general that's controlling our state, and then our attorney general. Wow, that guy ought to be locked up himself. I mean, he makes the sheriff of Milwaukee look kind of saintly.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Fiat Chrysler is recalling more than 160,000 minivans. Hope yours is not one of those 2017 Pacifica models.
The automaker says it needs to fix a software problem that can make engines stall. This involves certain Chrysler Pacifica vans from the 2017 model year with gasoline engines. The company says under rare conditions, the engine control computer can read the minivan's operating status incorrectly and turn the engine off. Fiat Chrysler says it knows of one potentially related crash, but no injuries. A fix will be available at dealers sometime before April 1st. I'm Jan Johnson.
The NBA fining Utah Jazz guard Rodney Hood $35,000 for slapping a phone out of a fan's hand. He was ejected from Wednesday's game after Washington was and after picking up his second technical foul. As he was leaving the court late in the third quarter, he knocked the phone out of a fan's hand who appeared to be recording him. I'm Michael Toscano.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in the former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the
Good afternoon. It is 4:05 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly with some headlines for you. Tens of thousands of needy but able-bodied Wisconsin residents will have to find a job in order to keep their Medicaid insurance under a new plan by Governor Walker. Critics of a new bill in Madison aimed at school violence say it would violate student privacy, disproportionately affect poor and disabled students, and widen the school-to-prison pipeline. In the Wisconsin senatorial campaign, Tammy Baldwin raised more than $2.8 million in the fourth quarter of 2017, compared to $800,000 for Kevin Nicholson and $400,000 for Leah Vukmir. And the Wisconsin DNR is planning to increase camping fees and daily admission fees at many popular state parks. Tonight, mostly clear, lows around 5 degrees, wind chills between -10 and 0, and tomorrow, sunshine, highs in the mid-teens, wind chills again between -10 and 0. And for 1510 a.m., my name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are sliding into the 4 o'clock happy hour on Brady Street.
On Friday.
On a Friday, the happiest of all the happy hours.
Yes, indeed.
We're expecting another fine guest. You're booking U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. He's a little tardy. We'll forgive him. He gave us a heads up. But it gives us just enough time to break a little news on this big program. Dom, you've heard me whine about it since the, daylight savings.
Come on. Since day one.
As an FCC licensed Class D daytimer AM station, could be the best Class D AM daytimer station ever, but still got to turn her off at sunset. And you can't turn it back on until daybreak in the morning. In a month like this, that's 4:45 p.m. That's when we got to turn the AM signal off. In the shortest months of the year, talking about December, 4:15.
That sucks.
That's unreasonable.
That's not right.
So anyways.
What can we do about it?
The FCC has, in fact, done something. They opened up an auction window last year. Everyone may have remembered the story of me fighting with the Scripps Corporation. First, I tried to partner with an outside guy. His name, Frank DeShyster. And Frank and I made a deal, and the FCC granted what is called a construction permit for an FM translator. And as soon as it got issued, Frank went to a broker and he shot me down the river.
Get paid. Money,
and he
money,
effectively sold me out for a bigger bag of cash from the Scripps Corporation. That, of course, an inferior radio product. You know them on the AM dial way down on the left side.
How tough can he be with a name like Francis?
And as, of course, I've mentioned, you got to be on the right side of the AM dial. That's the correct side. Otherwise, if you're on the left side, you got the small hands, that kind of stuff.
Oh, all right.
It's all about penis size, really, much like the size of your button. It's about penis size. Your AM
your nuclear
situation
button,
on the dial is, it's all about penis size. So anyways, we have a big, strong AM daytime signal on the right side of the dial. And today we celebrate the granting of our FM translator. And I don't mean the one Frank stole, because that was a partnership. And I would have had to lease it from Frank. And Frank sold me down the river. In year 4 of that lease, I was paying something to the tune of $7,000 a month. And that wasn't good enough.
Yes.
This one I own, free and clear. And it has been granted by the FCC. So very, very soon, as quickly as we can build it, FM 101.7, your only FM resistance talk station in Milwaukee. I mean, this is a damn good signal too. Dom, we get to put it 1,000 feet in the air. FM line of sight. If you can see it, you can hear it. So if you can put it 1,000 feet in the air, and that's what the FM has granted us permission to do, we can crank out one hell of a clear signal FM. Way up high, way out far. You're going to hear us in the Wild Counties. You're going to hear us all the way to Watertown. I'm talking about first red circle.
Right.
That's the strong, clear signal. You're going to hear clear signal FM 24 hours a day at 101.7 FM.
Wait, 24 hours a day?
Yeah, we don't have to turn off the FM. The AM still has to turn it off. But you don't have to listen to an AM if we got the best kicking asses Clear Channel FM high tower station at 101.7 FM.
That is awesome.
And of course, we do want to thank our partners in this endeavor, Alive Milwaukee. They relinquished this to us. We are partnered with Alive Milwaukee, a great organization, a nonprofit here in town. We can't wait to help serve that organization here in 2018. But the FCC, they've already served us a granted construction permit. You can't take it away from me now. And as quickly as I can build it, and now I got to scratch my head and say, where am I coming up with that kind of money?
Right.
But I got to build it. I got to stick it up a tower. Realistically, getting the FM antenna, the actual nuts and bolts of making it work, couple weeks. I could do that quick.
Like an actual part that needs to be screwed on.
Yeah, there's a
tower somewhere.
big antenna. Someone's got to climb 1,000 feet up a tower, and they've got to pull 1,000 feet of cable up to the top of that tower. So first, I got to buy an antenna. And I got to buy 1,000 feet of cable. That can't be cheap. I don't even know what that's going to cost me. And I got to pay some guys who have much more courage than I to go be tower rats and climb that height. Oh, God.
Once they get it installed, you're going to go up and personally inspect it, Curdy?
Buddy, I can think about the height of 1,000 feet where our FM transmitter will reside. It gives me vertigo just to think about being on the top of the tower. That's how high our FM signal is going to go out and blast clearly all across southeastern.
So when people
Wisconsin
are driving around listening to all the fine programming we have here on WRRD, like going to a bridge on AM, sometimes, it kind of goes
little
out
static.
a little
That's
bit.
not going to happen to the same degree, not with an FM.
Fantastic.
Well, it looks like we got a fine guest joining us. He made a little stop. He brought beer.
Hey, let that man in the door.
That is the most welcome sort of guest. Come back with us. We are celebrating the issuance of our FM translator and the arrival of our eagerly anticipated guest, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. We'll take a break now. We'll come back with Rojo. I hope you come back with us. Again, we are celebrating the granting of our construction permit, FM 101.7. It won't be long, Milwaukee. Just have a little faith. It took me a year to get to this point.
Just a little patience. A little more.
A couple more months. Perhaps less than that. But I'll be celebrating today. It is the happy hour. We're on Brady Street. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson joins us next. We'll welcome him here. He brought beer.
Let's celebrate. Come on now. When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates. 282-6200. 282-6200.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home walk restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crute special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five9s comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five9s has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at Five9s.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
I gotta tell you, so when I first moved to Green Bay to play football in '92, I had never been to Wisconsin. But the funniest thing I thought, you could not buy hamburger patties without a dollop of butter on them.
Folks, just so you know, if you take a little bit of herb butter and put it in the middle of a patty and just kind of mold it around there, you get magic.
I have one of my arteries right now.
How much did you say you weighed?
I'm gaining weight with my thoughts right now.
You're $3 and some change already, brother.
Guns Butter Economics, 414 Wisconsin, weekdays 9 to 11 a.m. on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
I'm going to talk to you about that, Ron.
Warning, listening to the Devil's Advocates may expose you to opposing views.
I lit up from Reno, I was trailed by 20 hounds. Didn't get to sleep that
And
night.
we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We're live on YouTube, Facebook. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio. And if you missed any of this fine program, please check out the website, domandcrute.com. You can download, listen to interviews and podcasts for free.
I just welcome back U.S. Senator Ron Johnson with a little dirty story. Ron, thank you for joining us. A fine Republican, a friend of ours. Welcome back to our little shed hole here on Brady Street, sir.
Happy New Year, boys.
Happy New Year,
Happy
Ron.
New Year. Senator, we're not your first interview of the day. You're wearing makeup again. This is becoming a strange sight, but second time I've seen you in makeup recently.
Thanks for mentioning that. Appreciate it.
It looks good on you,
Yeah,
though,
you wear
sir.
it well.
Senator,
So one of the things that they don't tell you about this gig is you actually have to learn to be your own makeup artist.
I have not learned that skill. I will learn from you, perhaps off air. But Ron, you're coming from a different interview. Public television, I believe. It's been transcribed. And apparently you were quizzed about the profane language attributed to our president, Donald Trump. I can't even say it. The FCC won't let me. I've been using the term shathole to describe Haitians and African refugees. Ron, you think it's time to apologize and move on. We know this president's not in the business of apologizing. So what do you think? Will there be a resolution, or will this just linger out there?
Well, since that interview, David Perdue and Tom Cotton said they didn't hear him say that. He hasn't necessarily admitted it, but if he did...
Come on, Lindsey Graham, your colleague, said he said it,
okay,
sir.
Again, I've actually been in the car. So if he said it, I think the smart thing would be to apologize, move on, because we've got some serious issues we need to address in this country.
Ron, the topic...
We shouldn't be talking about this for days on end.
Well, we won't talk about it for days on end.
Or even minutes on end.
Just a couple of minutes.
Or even seconds.
Moving on, gentlemen.
Let's talk about what you've done with your tax break.
I have yet to receive or garner any tax break, but let's talk about the topic of the conversation when these supposed profane words were stated. DACA the wall. There seemingly is an effort afoot, a bipartisan effort, to solve what the Democrats think is an important thing.
So do we, by the way. No,
we
want to solve that problem of Dreamers, no doubt about it.
Well, it's a problem somewhat of Donald Trump's creation. I realize he doesn't like the way Obama did it, but he took away their protections, did he not?
You mean unlawfully, the way President Obama did it? Yeah, that is the problem. President Obama did poison the well. I was, at that time, working in a bipartisan fashion trying to fix the immigration problem after the Senate bill failed, and Boehner and McConnell both warned President Obama, please don't do this with executive orders. You will poison the well. He did, which is why we're now in this situation.
But the gang aid had every opportunity. There was efforts at comprehensive immigration reform. Apparently, some parties walked away from the table. Nothing ever came to fruition. Ron, at some point, you got to do something with the Dreamers. Well, now we've got deadlines looming, and Donald Trump wants to build that beautiful wall, and apparently Mexico's no longer paying for it. Apparently now we, the American people, will pay for that wall, Ron?
That's what I always assumed would have to happen regardless.
You've said that before.
Yeah, and we need better barriers. I went to Israel. Walls actually work, or fences do. Israel, in 2 years, built about 140 miles of fence. They had, I think, 16,000 illegal immigrants per year. They built that fence for $2.9 million per mile. That thing got cut down to 16 illegal immigrants. So fencing actually does work in the right spots. We need to secure our border, but from my standpoint, the most significant thing we need to do is fix our laws, close some of those legal loopholes that incentivize people to come to this country, the unaccompanied children taking a very dangerous journey, those family units. There are things that we can do legally with our laws to stop really help solve the illegal immigration problem. And then in terms of the legal immigration system, it's a mess. We let about 1.1 million people have legal permanent residency every year. 65% of those are family, the chain migration. 22% are diversity lottery, refugees and asylees. Only about 15% are actually related to work. That is a crazy legal immigration system which we should address. So why don't we put those basic elements together, end sanctuary cities, fix the Dreamer problem, and be done with it?
Senator, what about the employers? We have news today. We've heard that ICE has raided a dairy farm up in Washington County.
Multiple dairy farms in Washington County.
Is it not? Aren't the employers just as culpable as the labor?
Certainly the employers are. We have E-Verify. It's not the most reliable system, but I think a lot of businesses actually use that. I'm supportive of that as well. But again, from my standpoint, having done an awful lot of work on this, we really need to take a look at things like the length of adjudication process for kids coming in from Central America. That incentivizes more kids because the truth is they get here, they're apprehended, they're processed, they're dispersed, and they stay in America. Then they use social media and they incentivize more kids to come through, more family units. And so we've got to take a look at this from a standpoint of our laws primarily, plus additional barriers.
Ron, chain migration, some don't even like the term.
It's not meant as a term of denigration.
But you
It's-
understand,
it
African
just
Americans
describes.
were brought here against their will. That wasn't exactly immigration so much as slavery, and they were brought here in chains.
That's what it was, yes.
And the association, chain migration, the NAACP took issue and had quite a few things to say about Trump's alleged use of profanity. But Ron, it seems like it's beyond, and I don't mean the immigration issue. I mean, when Donald Trump started his campaign, it was about rapists and murderers and I'm sure nice people from Mexico. Subsequent to that, he's gone through all sorts of machinations. And whenever it seemingly affects people of color, Ron, he takes a different vocabulary, a different tenor, a different tone. Does the NAACP, do you think that people of color have some point? I mean, this man, from outside observers, they think he's a racist, Ron. He was asked that question at the White House today. Is it possible he's using the vocabulary of a racist?
Listen, we have a problem with our immigration system here. It needs to be fixed. And the way he fixes is some pretty common sense process. I think most people would realize that when you grant somebody the ability to come to this country and have legal residency, they should be able to bring their kids and their parents. Should they be able to bring brothers and sisters, adult children? Should those individuals that come in through that process continue to be able to bring additional family members? At some point in time, you have to limit that. It has to be controlled because we can only assimilate so many new immigrants to this country per year. We're already up at some pretty high historic levels in terms of first-time immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants. It's made us strong, but you have to do it from a reasonable standpoint because, Mike, you literally have hundreds of millions, if not billions of people that like to come to America. We can't accept them all. We have to limit it, and we have to come up with a system where it makes a lot of sense and should be targeted toward people that can add to our nation, add to our economy. Right now, that's not the legal immigration system we have. We have to do something that's common sense here.
Ron, I haven't seen any legislative will on the Republican side. You guys control things. It's not like the Democrats are stopping you. If you wanted to pass comprehensive immigration reform, I suspect you'd get some Dem co-sponsors.
Well, that's what we have to try and do. And no, we don't control the Senate. We have a majority, but we don't control it. We will need at least 9 Democrats.
Simple majority, Ron. You could pass, couldn't you?
No, we couldn't. No, we need 60 votes. So we need at least 9 Democrats to join us in this, and hopefully we can find them. Again, this is a concerted effort. This is a good faith effort to get this done, and let's get it done.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got a fine guest live in our Brady Street studio, sharing the happy hour with us. He's U.S. Senator Ron Johnson.
Hey, let me, if I may jump in here, Senator. You talk about bringing people in that are going to contribute to society, the economy, et cetera. We just came from a WisPolitics event. Speaker Paul Ryan in Milwaukee today, also addressing the comments that the president allegedly made. And then Paul Ryan went into a little bit of his Irish background, talking about his great grandparents and grandparents and what they went through and how they contributed to society. Isn't it? And I want to get your opinion on this. My opinion is what we've created here in America is the environment that allows people to individually flourish should they have the desire and will to go do that.
And resources.
And how many, and of course, and the protections of a civil society in order to thrive. How many stories have you heard where it's, well, my grandparents were immigrants or my parents were immigrants and now this person's a doctor, lawyer, or some giving member to society? Isn't it really more about what we have here? It doesn't matter whether or not that the parents themselves or the person coming over are immediately adding to the bottom line to some metric, but that they embrace the culture and embrace the opportunity that is provided here in America, because not everyone is like Donald Trump, born into wealth. A lot of people work for it, and the immigrant society, the immigrant population as a nation of immigrants, have flourished in this country given the opportunity. So we can't just say that, well, they got to be doctors before they get here.
No. By the way, I don't subscribe to this. They have to be high skilled. I would consider a skill willing to work hard. Okay, but willing to work, not come here and feed off our welfare system, which unfortunately does occur. So again, we are a nation of immigrants. It's something we value. We need to fix the system.
You Norwegian, Ron?
Norwegian and German.
Trump would like your sort. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. We'll come back to our Brady Street studio. Our Norwegian buddy, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. He's a Republican. Hopefully he will stick around. We will talk more tax cuts. I know you'll like talking about taxes. We'll do that next, Ron.
First one says she got my child, but it don't look like it. I set out running, but I took my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight.
If we have to close down our government, we're building that wall. I'm going to talk to you about that, Ron.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. This year's primary will be held on February 20th, and the spring election is on April 3rd. We will not be taken for granted.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal conduct that this corruption investigation revealed. Scott Walker was breaking laws.
And Brad Schimmel fails to acknowledge the 6 criminal convictions, 4 felonies in the Scott Walker John Doe 1. Was that also a partisan witch hunt?
One newspaper has done a good job. It's a national paper, the Wall Street Journal.
And A.G. Schimmel filed an embarrassing hack partisan bull report where he's still looking for the leaker. Get a clue! Wasn't it Eric O'Keefe from Wisconsin Club for Growth?
Well, I was born to do this.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org. P4ppc.org.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
Good afternoon. It is 4:32 for 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Tens of thousands of needy but able-bodied Wisconsin residents will have to find a job in order to keep their Medicaid insurance under a new plan by Governor Walker. The Trump administration opened the way for states to require Medicaid recipients to participate in skills training, education, job search, volunteering, or caregiving. Walker and 9 other Republican governors want to place the new requirements on the health care program for the poor, but they need the federal government to approve it. Democratic National Committee spokesperson Mandy McClure blasted the proposal, calling it inhumane and saying that the vast majority of Medicaid recipients also already work or face some kind of obstacle such as disability or old age. Tonight, mostly clear, lows around 5 degrees, wind chills between minus 10 and 0. Tomorrow, sunshine highs in the mid-teens, but wind chills again between minus 10 and 0. Stay warm out there, folks. For 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, my name is Brian Kelly.
The Devil's Advocates. We drink when we toast when we drink.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got a fine guest, a friend of ours, live in studio. He's a good Norwegian. He's U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. He is the
Yes,
chair
I
of the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. Hizgak. Ron, thanks for sticking around. Ron, initially, you were a no on the tax bill, but of course, you came around to a yes. I knew you would, sir. So Paul Ryan was discussing this bill earlier today, and he is assuring Wisconsinites, those with jobs, they're going to get a raise of approximately $2,000. And somehow my boss, although, you know, I'm the manager here, the boss here, but my employees can expect a $2,000 raise, according to Paul Ryan. And I'm thinking, not my guys. Nobody's getting a raise from me. Ron.
Well, that's your fault.
Okay, well, the example used was Walmart, and Ryan, your friend Paul Ryan, said, hey, Walmart's giving bonuses, and they're giving raises. And Jeff Mayers from WisPolitics said, yeah, and they're closing 63 Sam's Clubs. There are multi-sides. These are nuanced issues. Ron, people aren't getting bonuses because of a tax cut.
And Mike, there always are different sides of the coin, but in general, the vast majority of Americans will get a tax cut. American businesses are more competitive, dramatically more competitive, which is why you have more than 100 companies announcing one-time bonuses, pay increases. Walmart increased their minimum wage from $9 to $11 an hour. That's $2 times 2,000. That's $4,000 per year for those individuals. So it will be very growth orienting. And now, my concern about it was the difference between C corps and pass-through entities. I think you're a pass-through entity.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to make sure that when we made C corps competitive globally, that the pass-throughs could also be competitive globally, and they didn't lose their competitive position vis-a-vis C corps. We made some improvements on that. Not everything I wanted, but in the end, I'm a manufacturer. You take a look at the disaster that was our old tax system. Take a look at how uncompetitive we were. We certainly did the number one component from my standpoint, the number one priorities. We made American businesses more competitive globally. Combine that with the dramatic change in the regulatory environment, where we've stopped over-regulating the economy. We're actually starting to roll them back. I'm shocked at the results. When President Trump announced the 1-in, 2-out rule, for every new regulation you have to remove 2, I would always tongue-in-cheek say I'd prefer 1-in, 10-out. They've achieved 1-in and 22-out. It's the main reason I think you've seen the optimism, the increase in the stock market, the 3% growth for a couple quarters.
Any of the big regulations that pop in your mind as being the most impactful?
I think just the fact that businesses realize a new regulation isn't coming down the pike, that they're not having to look over the shoulder, okay, now what's going to come? Certainty is everything in business, right? I mean, do you like an uncertain economic environment? When you're planning ahead, when you're investing, you really want certainty.
Well, certainty helps in all circumstances, Senator. Certainty helps in my own personal finances as well. Every person is almost a little company. They run their
precisely.
household.
So when you have
but our tax cuts are temporary, sir. The corporate tax cuts are permanent.
So I think Ted Cruz already offered the bill, and hopefully Bernie Sanders will co-sponsor it. We'll make the individuals permanent. We can do that with 60 votes if Democrats will join us. We just couldn't do it with just 51 votes.
Ron, let me ask you, those that would criticize you, that would say you were
nobody would do that.
self-enriching, because you, of course, are a pass-through. You will benefit from what you were advocating for. How do you answer that criticism, self-enrichment? And thanks for the tax cut, Senator.
Well, first of all, I pay a lot of taxes, so if you're going to be voting for a tax change where you're lowering taxes, anybody who pays taxes in that situation, you could accuse them of benefiting from it, but was not my consideration. My concern was overall economic growth, what we had to do, and I was very upfront about it. I've been saying that since day one, that we had to make American businesses more competitive, and that's what I voted for.
Well, here's what Paul Ryan was pretty upfront about. He said, topping his wish list, he acknowledged that he was a Social Security survivor's beneficiary when a college kid, and he says he so loves Social Security and Medicare that he wants to see them live beyond the 2030s, and therefore we've got to reform them now. Well, I know there are people in my audience right now, Ron, that are very concerned that these tax cuts that many perceive to be for the rich are at the expense of blowing up the deficits and give your party, sir, an excuse to come back and cut the social safety entitlements, Medicare and Social Security. That's pretty much what Paul Ryan said today in fewer words. Your thoughts, Ron?
Well, first of all, the way you score this stuff, you'd get a static score on the tax reductions. It'd be crazy to do tax reform where you don't have a revenue loss on a static basis that's made up by dynamic scoring and more revenues generated. Economic growth is a very powerful generator of revenue to the federal government. If you just go from 2% growth, which is basically what we average under under Obama's administration, meager. Compared to history, we've always, since World War II, we've averaged, even with recessions, over 3%. You go from 2 to 3%, that's $2 to $3 trillion more revenue to the federal government. Would certainly pay for the $1.5 trillion and then some. Plus, that just keeps inuring in the future decades, which is we're going to need more federal government revenue to take care of all the deficits that are projected because of Social Security, about an $18 trillion deficit in Social Security, more spending versus payroll revenue, $34 trillion in Medicare. So these are enormous problems we have to deal with. And oh, by the way, the rest of the over $100 trillion projected 30-year deficit is interest on the debt. So if you don't want to pay more than $60 trillion of interest to your creditors, you better solve Social Security and Medicare. The sooner the better.
Ron, even according to dynamic scoring, we're going to see an explosion. I've seen something to the effect of $1 trillion. I heard Dick Cheney one time saying deficits don't matter, but you've said quite differently. Every time we've ever talked, you've always been a deficit hawk. How do you portray this, even under your own standard dynamic scoring? If the dynamic scoring says this is a budget buster, talking about our debt, sir, how do you embrace these tax cuts, and how do you sell them to the American people as somehow good for them?
Because I've worked with CBO and JCT, and I don't trust their scores. And again,
that's the nonpartisan score, Ron. That's like saying I don't trust the referees, sir.
Again, I've worked with both of them, and on this matter, I just simply don't trust them. And I can point to other ones, but it's way too much detail. Bottom line is, and multiple economists will tell you this, if you go from 2 to 3% growth, that's $2 to $3 trillion additional revenue. It's about $14 trillion of added economic activity. That's simple math. And so we should be able to achieve in this American economy at least 3% growth. We're at 2%. We will more than make up that 1.5% deficit. I have no idea where JCT and CBO come up with these very pessimistic growth figures.
Ron, I'm very optimistic that the trickle down will get to me, but you were talking about the good news that Walmart's raising the minimum wage for their workers. Why wouldn't that work more broadly across the entire United States? $7.25 an hour. You can't find an apartment. You can't raise yourself on $7.25 an hour. Ron, why wouldn't we raise the baseline wage standard for all people? Why wouldn't that be trickle up?
Because that would destroy jobs. If government comes in and says you have to pay somebody X, you're going to lose jobs. What we did is we lowered the tax burden on businesses so they could afford to increase wages.
So I can cash out.
Without destroying jobs. So, Mike, it's working. I mean, what is? Why won't you take a look at the early evidence and say you've had more than 100 companies announce, and this affects 2 to 3 million workers, $1,000, $2,000 bonuses. They're saying they're going to increase 401k. They're increasing wages, and it has hardly even taken effect. But from my standpoint, the most significant thing that's happened the first year really is that we've stopped overregulating the economy. It's brought that kind of optimism and certainty to economic decisions on the part of businesses.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, chair of the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, joins us in studio. Ron, question for you regarding the HSGAC. As chair, Homeland Security, the Pentagon released recently video evidence, and pilots have been interviewed about, let's call them UFOs. We have flying objects over this country that the Pentagon has acknowledged spending millions of fighter pilots with various country. Ron, have you seen the reporting in the Washington Post? Have you seen any of this? And what are your thoughts?
I saw the video, and that's about all I can say. I mean, I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm pretty curious. I'd like to go to Roswell sometime.
Are you concerned about our security in the homeland if we don't know what's flying over our borders and our airspace?
In terms of priorities of things I'm concerned about, UFOs would be really down there at the bottom. I'm far more concerned about North Korea. I'm more concerned about Iran.
How do you
Russia,
know it's not a North Korean
EMP.
product?
I don't.
Would you consider an investigation in your HSGAC committee to look into this?
The truth is out there, Ron.
I mean, the Pentagon's spending millions of dollars, sir.
You've been watching too many X-Files.
I'm just asking.
Listen, I've watched that video a number of times. It's a pretty interesting video. I got no answer for you.
But you're not concerned as chairman of the Homeland Security Committee.
Again, in terms of my concerns prioritization-wise, that's way down there at the bottom. I'm not losing sleep over it.
Ron, I probably got time for one last question. I got to ask you your opinion. Mueller, special counsel, it's going on. There have been some issues raised by the House Intelligence Committee, Senate Intelligence Committee. Your colleague Dianne Feinstein obviously released some testimony Fusion GPS founder gave, and that was testimony that her chairman on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Chuck Grassley, did not want dropped. So, Ron, I got to ask you,
no time
what's
to
your
answer this.
opinion of Mueller?
What I got, 9 seconds, 8 minutes? We shouldn't have appointed him because I wanted the committees to do their work, issue their reports, to determine whether we need a special counsel. It's inhibiting it. We need to get by this. We need the answers. We do need the answers. We're not getting them right now.
Ron Johnson, thank you so much for the generosity of your time, and for pledging to seek out the truth
till next time
of the aliens.
We're hopping right on it, Dom.
It's out there.
Theoretically, sir, is it possible that our president is an alien?
Theoretically, anything's possible.
Just not along, Senator.
Lips
Just
are
not
sealed.
along. Ron Johnson, thank you so much.
See
Happy
you
New
guys.
Year. Come back
Take
with
care.
us. More Devil's Advocates. Phone lines open to you, 844-967-2789.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward, it's the right way to clean.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. And so, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood Tight House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order in classic Corner Tavern.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. Making sure Wisconsin residents continue to have equal and fair access to voting is very important to me. Here are some key things you should know. Wisconsin requires a photo ID, and chances are you already have what you need to vote. A Wisconsin DMV issued driver's license. You can use this even if it's revoked or suspended. A Wisconsin DMV issued identification card. A military ID issued by the U.S. Uniformed Services, or a U.S. passport book or card. You can use these items even if they're expired, as long as the expiration date is after the most recent general election held on November 8, 2016. For more information about registering to vote, please visit myvote.wi.gov or call the Wisconsin Election Commission Help Desk at 608-261-2028. We won't be taken for granted.
This message was brought to you by WRRD 1510 AM.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes his speech. But, he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy. Okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that
using
failed
facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Phone lines are open if you'd like to join us. Last segment of the day. It's Friday. It looks like some people got some grievances. 844-967-2789. We'll try to get to everyone.
Thank you, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, for joining us here on Brady Street. Dom, at least he always comes beer and beer.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Now let's get to the phones. Happy Trump Hole Day, says our first caller. Who is it?
They have a very stable Trump Hole Day.
Oh, stable. Well, the most stable genius
Very
Trump Hole Day.
stable. It's so weird listening to that commercial where Trump's ripping into Scott Walker because it's the only time he ever used facts. It's the only time he's ever used facts. I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what? I did find out. I found out what color that Donald Trump's hair is because, he's orange. So his hair looks blonde, but it's actually palomino. Because he's a horse's ass, get it? From the cattle barns because his hair was always swatting at the flies.
That wasn't why they had to keep him away from the cattle barns.
Hey, Mike, I remember seeing something in the Fire and Fury book. The reason his hair's like that is like just for men, and he just doesn't have the patience.
And
doesn't have the patience to keep it in long enough.
I don't know. I think he's kind of a sheep kind of guy. Ew.
Donald Trump went for a physical today. What do you think the doctor found? Healthiest president ever?
Is that what they said?
We don't know what they said, but we know that Trump had a doctor's appointment. I don't know if they checked into his mental sanity.
Moon River.
Using the whole fist there, Doc?
I can't seem to find anything wrong with you, sir. Hey, is that for lack of trying to look?
I don't remember Satan having any health problems either.
Yeah, well...
I'm just saying. I am the anti-Trump. I don't care what he is.
I hear they milked his prostate.
Hey, Mike, on his comments, obviously, the
shat hole
all
comments
around the world. Here's what I thought. I want to get your opinion on this. I think every day more people get to their breaking point. You know what I mean? I mean, every day every day that something happens with this president, it's the straw on the camel's back for somebody. Do you think this is going to continue?
Well, I think your first real sign was North Korea and South Korea hugging each other. Yes, I think you're right. I think everybody's going, you know what? This guy's wacko. Let's hug and make up.
Michael, have a great weekend, buddy. Thanks for your call. Dom, to that end, Georgia, a poll came out today, Atlantic Journal-Constitution poll, and it's a peach. 36.7% of respondents approve of the job Trump is doing in office. That's in Georgia, y'all.
And he won Georgia, right?
Yeah, by 5. 36.7%, his current approval.
And that's
his disapproval,
everybody.
59%.
And the Dems, what's the Dems number? Did you see the Dems number?
Amongst Democrats polled, 97% disapproval. And I'm thinking to myself,
who are the 3%?
Yes!
844-967-2789. Annie from Watertown, welcome. What do you got for us today?
Well, it is Friday, so I just trying to think of some good meme or something, but Crudy, it's legislators are in the legislature.
Don't you love it when people correct you on the air?
Are you being a grammar Nazi, Annie?
I guess so, because it just drives me crazy.
When did I even say that?
Was there a conversation today?
You did again this week, earlier this week.
Oh, earlier. Wow. That was a long time ago, Andy. You can't hold him responsible for
I'm
something.
moving this conversation forward.
I've been trying to think of a good way for you to remember that, but I'm sorry, I don't have one.
In my brain, I'm aware and clear on the differentiation. Legislators, the actual people that serve in the legislature. But, enunciation is not my strong suit, Annie. I butcher names, and I'm talking about my own kids.
Obviously. Another thing, you'd asked me about Cleefish, and after listening to the Cleefish show last Saturday, he is just a bully. I mean, I don't know how long she's going to last with him. I don't know about that show. I don't know. He just seems to be a real bully over her.
I think there's a lot of mutual admiration and respect between the two. I would point out the show that will air tomorrow right here on WRD 1510 AM, Joel and Jocasta, will feature Evan Goyke. And the topic was Lincoln Hills. I think they had Evan in here. They pre-recorded last night. I'd listen this week, Annie. I don't think our friend Joel Clayfish stood up so well to, let's call it, the Lincoln Hills scrutiny. Let's not forget that is a problem his party created, in the legislature amongst the legislators.
Listening last Saturday about talking about Hispanics and stuff, and rude, bully. Yeah, he really was just negating everything she said and just blowing over. I mean, he just really sounded, it's just like, did these guys go to some kind of right-wing radio school to be a Republican?
He literally went to right-wing radio school. He is a graduate of a mass comm program. He is a former employee of WAUK 1510 AM.
Can you believe it?
Which has become the greatest AM daytimer Class D radio station ever, WRD 1510 AM, and of course soon.
So very soon.
So very soon, because we have been granted our construction permit.
Thank you,
We
FCC.
will be known as 101.7 FM forevermore, and we will move our show from 3 to 6.
Oh, thank God.
And we will never start at 2 again, ever, never, ever. Let's go to one more caller at least. Wisco Paul, man, you probably get the last word today. Steal it from Dominic like I did before during the Rojo interview.
Hey, Paul.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Big congrats on the FM signal. That's really
Thank you.
cool.
It only took a year of, the last year has taken about 4 years off my life trying to acquire this. I feel like I won the lottery today, Paul.
Yeah, you did.
Mostly because you called at the end.
Hey, you know what? Now if I see a Trump sign or a sticker, I have to think racist. It's a sad thing, but I have to think racist, and I too love the Walker ad. And I want to bring up something about yesterday. Senator Winehouse was a breath of fresh air. It was a great interview, and maybe it's time for a female governor that lives up north, and I think that's a good thing. And I'll end this by saying, great week, boys, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Paul. We've
Thanks,
actually
Paul.
seen some polling back in Wisconsin. PPP, only 750 polled. It's a huge Democratic field, but currently it's being led, according to the polling, by Tony Evers. Got a strong lead. The only two other candidates in double digits, Kathleen Weinhaut, Paul Soglin. We are the Devil's Advocates. Have a great weekend. We'll be back on MLK Day, but we want to thank our fine guest, Mark Thompson, chair of the Wisconsin Elections Committee, Dennis Degenhardt, a candidate. Don't forget, vote in the 58th Assembly District on Tuesday. And, of course, Dom's booking U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. Thank you, Wiz Politics, having us at the Paul Ryan Lunch. Another great show. You're welcome.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
So I got that going for me, which is nice.
When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel
I don't have a lot of extra